done with the intro shit. I don't even like smoking cigarettes. I'm really trying to like let them go, but it's hard to do when you feel like you're one of the few in the battle. You know, there's not that many of us in this battle because, to be honest, the world's not even full of good people. The world is mainly full of pieces of shit. So it's kind of hard to not like stress out every now and then. But why it should be illegal for white people to adopt children of color. Now, I can hear people, you know, talking about racism. This ain't got a motherfucking thing to do with racism. This has to do with people that are not of color adopting children that are of color. And what a man of color is saying is you shouldn't be fucking doing that. It should be illegal for your ass to do that. All slavery, that's a part, but that ain't got shit to do with modern time reasons. See, the past is a good reason, but so is the modern times. Before we get started, I want to show you something, just so I can prove that it's not just men. It's not just white men. You know, the white woman doesn't need to be around fucking children of color, neither. It's not all of them, but remember, it's 77.1. So who gives a fuck about the small, minute number? I don't care about that. I'm dealing with the main. Let's listen.
Here's an extensive detail of the abuse of black male slaves by white women. According to a certain historian, few scholars have viewed the relationships of enslaved men and free white women through the lens of sexual abuse, in part because of gendered assumptions about sexual power. This is in keeping with both the standard feminist conceptualization of rape as a tool of patriarchal oppression, as well as the traditional unfeminist notion of women as too weak.
Now, first of all, this is completely ignorant because it's like women will try to say that they're God and, you know, they're the original rulers of the earth and all this, but then they're arguing about being raped. This is why women are not to teach. They are not to lead because, to be honest, they're a scatterbrain that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove why only in a relationship are women supposed to be side by side. Other than that, as a group of people, the women are always supposed to be behind the men. They are never to be in front. We're going to get into why, but it's really not about them in this video.
Emotionally and physically to commit serious crimes, let alone sexual abuse, and the idea that men cannot be raped. However, it is becoming increasingly clear that women, too, are capable of committing horrid sexual offenses and using sex as a means of domination and control.
Think about all the kids being molested in the schools nowadays.
You are welcome to this video. Don't forget to hit the like button right in front of you, share with friends to spread our Black narrative, and then subscribe to stay with the family. As light-skinned enslaved women who were the product of mixed-race couplings were particularly vulnerable to sexual predation, so were light-skinned male slaves finding themselves a great deal the particular target of such sexual exploitation. Apparently, they may have attracted their enslavers more, who in most cases were swooned by the mere sight of them and would exert racial supremacist authority over exercising them as their sex property. As Thomas Buckley found in his analysis of divorce in antebellum Virginia, roughly 9% of Virginia's divorce petitions from 1786 to 1851 were for interracial adultery, with 23 of those petitions coming from white men who complained about their wives' relationships with black men. Peter Nielsen, traveling in Virginia in the 1820s, recorded that he had learned about a planter's daughter having fallen in love with one of her father's slaves. She had actually seduced him. In her 1861 autobiography, Harriet Jacobs told the chilling story of a male slave named Luke, who was kept chained at his bedridden master's bedside so that he would be constantly available to tend to his physical needs, which included sexual favors. In veiled language, so as not to offend the sensibilities of 19th century polite society, Jacobs reported that most days Luke was only allowed to wear a shirt so that he could be easily flogged if he committed an infraction, such as resisting his master's sexual advances. In a 2011 Journal of the History of Sexuality article, the scholar Thomas Foster contended that enslaved black men were sexually exploited by both white men and white women, which took a variety of forms, including outright physical penetrative assault, forced reproduction, sexual coercion and manipulation, and psychic abuse. In one example provided by Foster, a man named Lewis Bourne filed for divorce in 1824 due to his wife's longtime sexual liaison and continued pursuit of a male slave named Edmund from their community. Foster contended that such pursuits could enable white women to enact radical fantasies of domination over white men, while at the same time subjecting the black enslaved male to her control. Foster also contended that such pursuits were not uncommon, as demonstrated by testimonies from the American Freedmen's Inquiry Commission, established by the Secretary of War in 1863, which took depositions from abolitionists and slaves regarding the realities of slavery, while at the same time subjecting the black enslaved male to her control. Foster also contended that such pursuits were not uncommon, as demonstrated by testimonies from the American Freedmen's Inquiry Commission, established by the Secretary of War in 1863, which took depositions from abolitionists and slaves regarding the realities of slave life.
I don't know why the fuck it keeps pausing when I have so much room on it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But I don't give a fuck. We're going to keep going.
Such depositions included stories of sexual liaisons between enslaved men and their mistresses. Indeed, there is considerable documentation of white women forcing black men into having sex. Captain Richard J. Hinton, an abolitionist commander in the Civil War, stated, "I have never found a bright-looking colored man whose confidences I have won, who has not told me of instances where he has been compelled, either by his mistress or by white women of the same class, to have connection with them." One former slave told Hinton that his mistress ordered him to sleep with her after her husband died. Foster further concurs with scholars who argue that rape can serve as a metaphor for both enslaved women and men, as the vulnerability of all enslaved black persons to nearly every conceivable violation produced a collective rape subjectivity.
Almost there.
Most Americans know that George Washington owned enslaved people at his Mount Vernon home, but fewer probably know that it was his wife, Martha, who dramatically increased the enslaved population there. When they wed in 1759, George may have owned around 18 people. Martha, one of the richest women in Virginia, owned 84.
Now do you understand? Excuse me, when I spoke about George Washington and how he wasn't a big fan of slavery, and how on his deathbed in his will he set all his slaves free. So you guys' argument really about one of the forefathers is not with George Washington. Your argument is with his wife.
A number of people Martha Washington owned is unusual, but the fact that she owned them is not. Stephanie E. Jones Rogers, a history professor at the University of California, Berkeley, is compiling data on just how many white women owned slaves in the U.S. And in the parts of the 1850 and 1860 census data she has studied so far, white women make up about 40% of all slave owners. Slaveholding parents typically gave their daughters more enslaved people than land, says Jones Rogers, whose book They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South, came out in February 2019. What this means is that their very identities as white Southern women are tied to the actual or the possible ownership of other people. White women were active and violent participants in the slave market. They bought, sold, managed, and sought the return of enslaved people in whom they had a vested economic interest. Owning a large number of enslaved people made a woman a better marriage prospect. Yes, you heard correctly. Once married, white women fought in courts to preserve their legal ownership over enslaved people as opposed to their husband's ownership and often and one.
Excuse me. It's going to keep pausing and it's going to piss me off. So we're going to get right into it. So, y'all heard it out your own mouth. White women had more slaves than white men. White men had land. White women inherited all the slaves. This is why they're teaching the program in all these schools. They shouldn't even be allowed to do that. There shouldn't be a large amount of white women teachers at all. Unless this land was fully white or they moved to that white town where they only teach white people. That should be the only ones they're teaching. They shouldn't be teaching anybody. Why am I saying that? Let's look at something. Give me a second. Because I actually know why my stuff is moving so slow. I used all my speed internet, so it's going to take a little second, but it shouldn't be taking this long. Come on, Mr. Wood. Should be all good, right? You run the show. Shouldn't be embarrassed about anything to see. Think not it. Where's it? Come on now. There we go. All right. I love these type videos. These are my favorite type videos. The ones that be fucking up, oh, these are my favorite ones. These are my favorite type videos because it proves something. I'm gonna wait. Don't worry. Patience is a virtue. Oh, I'm gonna wait. We can wait. You done acting like a retard? Let's see. I find these hilarious. I got an idea. Here we go. Anybody remember this? Don't all speak at once. This just happened this year. Remember how those 5 black kids were locked in the basement as a slave? By these 2 pieces of shit. Is there something familiar about it? Is somebody familiar? Wait a minute. Because, you know, people think I'm just racist and this is just all about black people. Wait a minute. What happened to the little Asian kid? Another person of color. Hold on. Farmed. Why were so many black children fostered by white families in the UK? From the 1950s, thousands of children of African parents were happily fostered by white British families. But for some, the well-intended plan was deeply damaging. Why white people adopt black children? African Americans have every reason to be suspicious of white people adopting black babies. From slavery to unethical medical experimentations to Jim Crow laws and more. History demonstrates that white people haven't always been very kind to people of color, to say the least. So, my whole thing is this, and I'm just going to talk about reality that I know. Every child of color that I have ever met that has been raised around nothing but white people, nothing but paleface, they have this negative stigma against people that look like them. I've been all the way in areas where there's nothing but white people, and it maybe is 1-2 black women. They will not look at you. They will not greet you with a head nod. They won't even acknowledge you. So here's my thing. If white people have a large array, because we're not going to take the twos and fews, and also we're not going to deal with people that are couples, people that, like Alicia Keys' mom, we're not dealing with people like that. We're not dealing with people like Drake's mom. We're not dealing with people that wanted to, interact with black people. We're specifically dealing with people adopting black kids. And if historically, through history, when whites had ownership of black people, they were molesting them. Like they said, one of these slaves was literally tied to the end of the bed. That's how he lived. And he always had his shirt off just in case the nasty fucking slave master was ready to, do some fucking sick shit. So you have a person at the footboard of the bed, tied up, probably spread, tied up like that. Like the movie The Django, when he had him tied upside down, butt naked. And he talking about he castrated him. Yeah, I bet, but before he did, he probably sucked on it. The white guy, Z from Pulp Fiction. Okay, then this situation that we're looking at. Okay, you got some other white people who did this to this little Asian girl. You got Woody Allen, this Jeffrey Epstein. But we just talking about adopting kids. It's not about people that genuinely give a fuck about the children. The numbers are too short. And with also this, with this stat alone, we really shouldn't be, allowing children of color. I don't care. And I'm not saying I don't care about white children. I'm saying I don't care what you're doing to your own people because, it needs to be exposed anyway. So it's like, that's not my argument. My argument is I believe that there needs to be a petition, and it should be a law that bans white people from adopting children of color. I don't give a fuck about what life you're claiming you're going to give them. Shut the fuck up. Your track record with other nations' children is trash. It's trash. You can talk all this shit about black people you want. Remember, the kiddie porn, we're 5.8, okay? You're 77.1. Other race, 4.3. The Hispanics, 12.8. So you two are in the double digits. Y'all up there, period. Everybody else on earth that's in America is one digit. They're not double digits. So I'm going to leave the Hispanics out of this one because that's not who I'm talking about. But you are too high up on the scale of liking kiddie porn, clearly touching kids. You have a track record of this through your bloodline. It's through your blood. Now, the people in Arkansas talking about this white city or whatever the fuck, these motherfuckers probably have the genes of fucking black rapists. They probably have them. Whether if they want to, that's why they want to separate from everybody. They so attracted to everybody else. They trying to play it off like they just want to stay pure. No. You're attracted to everybody. You're attracted to all their kids. And you know you can't fucking help yourself. So that's why you want to separate yourself from everybody. Same thing with your DNA. You know goddamn well if you procreate with everybody, you'll disappear. You know that. This is not a racist video because this ain't got shit to do with fucking racism. This has to do with protecting children. I don't believe white people should be allowed to adopt children of color. I think it should be a law. It should be illegal for y'all to adopt or raise up children of color because the only two things that come out of it mainly from you is child molestation and self-hatred. You make these children of color hate their own people and only want to fuck with you. But you're the 77.1% of the kiddie porn buyers. It don't matter if they on the Democrat side or the Republican side. Both you motherfuckers, I'm guaranteeing that Epstein list is full of white people. Because first of all, black people ain't got no money like that. They're not big time rich. Who would keep this shit on the hush like that? You see black people snitching on themselves every day. They love running their fucking mouth. They wouldn't have been able to keep this shit under no wrap. But you can, because you've been doing this shit for centuries. I might have to look into making a petition. I know I ain't going to get that many signatures on it. Maybe I will. I don't know. I won't know until I do it. But I think there needs to be a petition. I think there does. I don't think it should be legal for white people to adopt children of color. I do not believe it should be legal. You should only be able to adopt your own because those are the ones that you can't create. You know, people adopt children because they can't make kids. Okay, well, if you're white and your wife's white, then that means you would have made a white kid. That should only be the children you fuck with. No Hindus, no what you call black people, no Hispanics, no nothing. Just your own. Just your own. And like I said, for people that want to argue my point, I got a plethora of evidence. A plethora of it. I didn't even finish that fucking video. Okay, there's a plethora of stories. Majority of the women getting arrested, teachers for molesting the kids, are white women. You cannot get mad at a man of what you call color standing up and addressing your ass. You can never get mad at me. The only thing you can do is straighten it up, or we're going to have to figure it out. And maybe now this is why you got us out here sagging pants, killing each other over colors and selling drugs. Because you know, if we was right mind, we'd have been got your ass. Don't matter how small percentage you want to claim. Don't. I take them basketball players and football players and throw some gloves on them and teach them some martial arts, like some Jeet Kune Do or some Jiu-Jitsu or some nigga, you'd have an issue. But see, you got their brain somewhere else. It's time to put an end to that. Goes.